Hello and welcome everyone for what will be the first in a series of online events to complement the exhibition L, A City Through Its People, which is currently on show at the Open Eye Gallery. Obviously, the Open Eye Gallery itself is closed to the public at the moment, but we've extended the show until the first week of March. So hopefully there will be a chance to see the display in person. We also are going to be announcing a virtual reality version of the exhibition, so all of the artwork will be available to see on our website anyway throughout the winter. But we have Laura Robertson and Ian Clegg joining us today to talk about their part of the exhibition, which is the project Tell It Like It Is, and they'll be in conversation for the next hour. Ian Clegg designs and delivers alternative photographic process workshops, specializing in reintroducing forgotten skills and co-creating artworks as Attic Studios or ATIC Studios. The artwork responds to daily life and public collections. Ian has an MA in photography from the University of Central Lancashire and is currently researching a PhD on the relationship between artisans and the photographic image. Laura Robertson is a writer, art critic, and editor for international magazines. She is the first critical writer in residence at Open Eye Gallery. She works with other writers and editors, artists, galleries, colleges, universities, and communities to explore writing as a creative practice. Laura co-founded The Double Negative, which is an online art magazine, in 2011 and has been commissioning and platforming Northern People projects and places ever since. She has recently graduated from the MA Writing Programme at the Royal College of Art London. So without further ado, I will let the pair of them take it away. At the end, there will be an opportunity for questions. So if you do have questions for Laura or Ian, please leave it in the Twitch chat box or send it to us on Twitter at the Open Eye Gallery Twitter. And then at the end, there'll be time to ask questions. Okay. Over to you.
Thank you, Leo. Hi,
you.
everyone. Hi, Ian.
Hello, Laura.
Lovely to see you during lockdown. I think we're getting used to this now, aren't we? Never meeting in person.
Yeah.
There was a time when we could go on a walk and have a pint in a pub at the end of it. Those days seem quite far away now.
At least we got one of them in.
Yeah, one walk and a pint before lockdown. So it'd be good, wouldn't it, to kind of introduce our project and talk about how we met and how this all got started. So about 18 months ago, I bumped into Ian, and he knew I was writing a book about Liverpool capital of culture. And we were talking about Liverpool and how it's changed so much in the past decade. And Ian said, "Oh, I've got a box full of images, and they're on black and white, and I took them in the late 70s and early 80s when I was a teenager. Do you want to have a look at them?" Of course, I said, "Yes, please." And especially when he said, "I haven't really shown them to anybody before," that just, well, the alarms were going off for me then. I was like, come on, yes, please. I want to see these photographs, because it's a rare thing to get your hands on work that not many people have seen before. So yeah, Ian, tell everybody about these photographs sitting under your bed.
Yeah, metaphorical. Yes, well, it was. What was interesting is that I was actually learning photography at the time, so I was kind of not new to it, but I was actually at a polytechnic, Wolverhampton Polytechnic, and I'd already started to take images of Toxteth and Liverpool 8 and the city centre, having constantly visited my relatives there every weekend, from my nana and my uncles, and I started to take pictures because I thought the area was changing. And then it just coincided with a project at the Polytechnic, so I carried them on. I did a couple more roles, and then showed showed some of the images to my tutor, who wasn't that impressed at the time. And as I say, metaphorically, they went under my bed, which is basically, I've put it into my filing system and hadn't looked at them since, really. And obviously, speaking to yourself, I thought you must get lots of people saying, "Oh, I've got some pictures of Liverpool," and I just kind of quite shyly, nervously showed them to you, and you just, I think, were quite excited by them, which is lovely.
No, this hasn't happened to me before. People don't usually show me their photographs taken on HB5 film, and you know, like certainly photographs like this. This doesn't happen to me. It was really interesting hearing that you'd taken these as a teenager, and you were just, you know, you had your battered Nikon camera, and you were filling it with film. You know, when you were living with your nan. And just going for walks in the area and just pointing and shooting it and learning how to take photographs of people in the street and of streets and ships and shops and people shopping and working and doing all these things and getting on with their everyday lives, and loads of pictures of little lads playing. There's some really joyous photographs in this series of young men just picking up sticks, you know, riding around on their bikes, being cheeky, showing you their bums.
Yes.
Being very cheeky.
Yeah.
You know, going to the record shops of a weekend, just doing what teenagers do. And you were a teenager at the time, so they're all photographs taken through a teenager's eyes. And another thing that really appealed to me was the fact that they were unedited and, you know, uncropped, so you can see right to the edge of the frame with the photographs.
Well, yeah, just looking at them, you know, again, I just felt as though some of the stuff actually happening right at the edge of the frame was still is quite important, and to crop them would have been doing a disservice to what was happening in front of the camera, really. And that's why I see the edge of the frame, and also the edge of my cheap lens hood that I had, you know, crops into the image, you know, way before the days of Instagram filters, putting a vignette on it by accident. But also, yeah, put it in context that using film then was quite an expensive thing to do, you know, you know, I wasn't working or anything, so I had to make quite a lot of decisions on what I did shoot and what I didn't. You know, I would have loved to, thinking back, I would have loved to have taken many more rolls of film, but you know, it's every time you press that shutter, it costs an amount of money. So it kind of, you know, it's looking at the roll of 36, there's very few that I've taken another one just in case I got the exposure wrong. It's just quite instant. And also, I probably didn't have an agenda. I just wanted to see the area, and I'd go back a weekend previous and one of the streets would have been knocked down, demolished, you know, Jolliffe Street being one of them, just no longer exists. And even at that age, it quite affected me. I thought, this is massive change in the city.
Yeah, because there's me going on about, you know, the last decade, but when you look at these photographs from the late 70s, I suppose you're struck by how familiar it all is if you're from Liverpool, you know, like we are. And then it's a different planet, isn't it? It's a different universe, all those cliches about, you know, the past being a different country. This could have been taken in 1940.
What? The one behind you? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only the fashions and the cars that you notice. Some people will know this from their own home photographs, obviously. You know, Liverpool's kind of one of those cities that you kind of have to clock the cars or the trackies or people's shoes or whatever to kind of notice what decade or time period it is in black and white. And it was really interesting. It's kind of all worked out at the same time, didn't it? 'Cause I'd written this book, present tense, about the capital of culture. You'd show me those photographs of, you know, Baltic Triangle and into town at this really important time in Liverpool's history. Very tumultuous time, very difficult time. And then the capital culture stuff had all happened, and Liverpool 1 is completely different. Like the streets navigating Liverpool 1 is a different experience.
In those days, the Liverpool 1 was basically Church Street. That was where you went shopping, you know, and it was quite an amazing street to walk down. Really, there was people protesting about unions, people saying the end of the world's nigh, people street performers, hot dog stands, the smell of onions.
And the smell of you know, the cellars and stuff like that. Like this photograph really reminds me of growing up in Anfield in a terrace. Really similar houses that obviously have had its own similar problems to Toxteth in terms of asset stripping, demolition, architectural change, people being moved, communities being moved. And it just really took me back there to growing up in Anfield, and, you know, having the cellar and the front step with the window into the cellar, and how cold and dusty they were, and my mum washing the step and stuff, and just how close you were physically to your neighbours with the backyards and stuff.
That's right.
And that, you know, I don't want to be all like, we talk about nostalgia a lot during this project, don't we? But
that's, we don't want it to be nostalgia, but it creeps in, doesn't it? It creeps in. And as you say, the overused word of community, it was like that house behind you was where my nan lived, and my granddad, and opposite was where their mum and dad lived, and you know, and they shared houses when they were saving up to buy another one, you know. And
so this is just to clarify, it's the back end of Vola Street.
This is top end of Vola Street. Okay. Yes, yeah, and they're the plane trees that are going down each side, you know. And as you say, it's not nostalgic, it's just an actual inherent kind of vein of the city was these kind of places to live, where you could walk up to the end there, you could buy sweets, you could buy a bike, you could buy shoes, you could buy paraffin. It was all within, you know, 50 yards of where you lived. You know, we have actually lost that in a way, and you know, I think that is a shame. But you know, me and you want people to look at this not in a nostalgic way, but to react and say, what is it like now? You know,
absolutely.
Yes, you know, if you're from Liverpool, you've got a certain attachment to the city, and you know, tell us what you think of the images would be great.
Well, just to get back to the images and how we're working with them. So the first step, I suppose, in our project is an exhibition at Open Eye Gallery. So thank you so much to Open Eye Gallery for supporting us this year through lockdown. It's been an absolute godsend. You've been very supportive.
Yeah.
And to have an exhibition on at the moment, which is beautifully produced. So Ian has been able to print a selection of these black and white photographs in silver gelatin, and they're really it's really an enjoyable experience to look at them. So we've got a whole kind of walk mapped out in the gallery from Liverpool 8 down through Liverpool 1, Liverpool 3, and to the docks. And that's the first stage in terms of, here's some old photographs taken by a teenager. What do they say? What do they say now about Liverpool? What do they say about Liverpool's past? Probably quite a lot of things that you've already talked about with your family and friends, and like, you know, stories that old Liverpool people know. But could these images now be a catalyst for new images and stories. So rather than just have an exercise in nostalgia, can Ian and I and people who want to join our workshops that we're running this winter make new stories happen? So we're both really interested in storytelling and this, you know, memories that bleed into nostalgia, but also memories that can power new stories, or you telling it like it is, where the title comes from. Telling your own story through fiction writing or poetry or short factual texts or little fragments of texts or even memoir writing or place writing, life writing. That's what we're kind of interested in, and that's what's been really exciting about working with Ian and having a good look at these photographs and seeing how they can do something new. So we're not staying in the past, but we're looking forward really, and imagining Liverpool's future in a way through the people that want to write and take photographs and learn how to do that.
Yeah, and even at this stage, you know, it would have been a shame if these images hadn't married up with narrative, with words, because we've been discussing it, and you know, it's about context. If you don't actually describe what's happening, for example, the image behind me, Probe Records, where it used to be in Matthew Street, if you don't describe the feeling that you had when you went in there as a teenager, that you were frightened of asking for the wrong record and be thrown out because it wasn't hip enough. The image doesn't tell that on its own. It's adding words like that to these images, I think, gives them much more relevance and a robust feel for the city. And as Laura was saying, you can describe images can help you describe smells and feelings, and if we can bring these out in the workshops and carry it on, then it stops being just a nostalgia show, really.
Sure. I think one of the problems that we were chatting about at first is not problems, but kind of areas of critique, right? Where some of these photographs are quite sad to look at, actually, given the context. Context is king, and Liverpool was absolutely savaged in the press in the 80s. These were taken shortly before the Toxteth riots. Liverpool was seen as a city of criminals, and people felt sorry for themselves, right?
I think that backyard shot that we've got, where I think you had the same feeling, is that to somebody who's not used to that kind of image, thinks it's an absolute slum that's been wrecked, whereas the thought it brings with me is my nan giving me a bucket of lime wash and saying, go and paint the backyard, you know, or go and refill the paraffin in the outside loo. They were there, joyful memories, and that's what the intent of them is, not some outsider saying it's grim here.
No, and we're so sick of that, like that stereotype, and it's become something that we're dead interested in now. Mm-hmm. How are we gonna address stereotypes in our workshops, in the group? Like, what are the group gonna say about the stereotypical view of Liverpool and how we've, you know, surpassed it? Liverpool's in Rough Guide's top 3 cities in the world to visit. Like, it's the transformation with reputation and kind of purpose of the city has completely changed in people's eyes who aren't from Liverpool. We always knew it was a city of culture. We always knew we had the best museums and galleries and creative people, artists, musicians, designers, filmmakers. We knew that. It seemed like the rest of the world didn't, beyond the Beatles. And these stereotypes come to the fore as well, because also these photographs are of working class communities. We're from working class backgrounds. this is what we're familiar with, but by taking photographs back then of people who were, you know, out of work, on low incomes, are you perpetuating that kind of myth or story by showing these again?
Yeah.
And one of the things talking about timing, I was determined that these were going to have an outing somewhere this year. We didn't know at first that it would be an open eye gallery and an exhibition. But I was determined that they'd get some kind of outing, given the Don McCullin show at Tate Liverpool, given his photographs of Liverpool that are in that show. I don't know whether anyone's seen it yet. You know, alongside photographs of poverty, alongside death and violence, and the atmosphere of putting those images together. You know, Don McCullin said that the war on poverty was just as important to document as a photojournalist as a war in a different country, right? And he did some really important work for weekend magazines in the 20th century about Save Our Cities and stuff, you know, addressing racism and all sorts of other things. But his photographs of Liverpool are also pretty depressing. They're pretty depressing, and you know, everyone looks really poor, don't they?
Well, I've got, you know, massive respect, obviously, for Don McCullin. You know, I, wherever he showed, I've gone to have a look at his exhibition. But there is a certain strangeness about his technique of almost treating Liverpool as a war zone itself. You know, and as you can see behind you, that grey sky that actually was true to the day would have been burnt in, as they call it, with Don McCullin's. He would have put the filter on it and made it dark and made it overpowering. And
you see that in a lot of his photographs, don't you? Like even his modern, his more contemporary landscapes that he's taken in his old age.
Yeah.
Those burnt-in skies, those stormy, that atmospheric landscape stuff. He's into that.
Well, I think it's great that that's on at the same time. It's a good parade to what we're doing, really. Where, you know, it's only a very small part of his show that Liverpool is shown there. But it's a shame we can't have him on and have a chat about it.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's a really good place. It's amazing that we've got an exhibition on at the same time that that's on. I think that, you know, both of these shows are ways to open up and talk about photographs and what all photographs do.
Yeah.
In terms of this idea of established narrative. So what I mean by that is, you know, from negative press to maybe the same stories that we tell as well. Mm-hmm. You know, my family tell the same stories. My husband's family tell the same stories about, you know, being on strike, not having enough food to feed everybody, being blacklisted. Stuff like this is important to remember and talk about because it hurt and it affected people, and it still affects people now. It's still in the living memory.
But it's still great from, you know, the responses we're getting on the website of, you know, it was like one person has said that, you know, her relative used to tell her off for being too scouse, you know. And we all remember that, you know, we all remember saying you what and being told off for saying that, you know. It's not a horrible memory, it's a joyful memory, isn't it? You know, about, you know, getting advice from your relatives to, you know, don't sound so northern. You know.
Well, I think we've been surprised, haven't we, by how many people have got in touch to kind of share their memories, but also like almost write new captions for your photographs. So they're on our website, tellitLikeItis.cargo.site, and you can email us as well, anything you want and about the photographs, and we'll publish it on our website. Good memories, bad memories, ugly memories, memories of growing up in different cities as well. Doesn't have to be Liverpool. I think they provoke, like, there's a lot of relatability in these images, Ian, that a lot of people have connected to already. I think just that a lot of them very open, and they could be any city. They're kind of open to interpretation and placing your own history and experience on them, aren't they? Like, you know, streets, shops, record shops. Everyone remembers going to their first record shop.
Yes. Yeah.
And even we had a comment the other day, shared memory to your photograph, unfair dismissal.
Yeah.
Of the two men with sandwich boards on outside Marxie's, you know, asking people to boycott Marxie's because they'd lost their jobs. And it's important to remember, like, people were protesting every week in Liverpool in the late 70s and 80s. Like, you only have to look through the Open Eye archive as well to be reminded. Local disputes, like, people were used to seeing other people speaking up about injustice and going on marches and trying to fight for the right. And a lot of young people were doing that as well, weren't they, with the youth marches?
Yeah. But from a photographic point of view as well, it was almost easier to take photographs as well, because people knew that if you pointed a camera at them, then it was there was a commitment from you as well as them. You know, they knew it was film, you know, whereas digital now, it's almost a throwaway image, you know. So, you know, we've got pictures like the Evertonian fans all dressed up as nuns, all stopped and posed for me, you know. You know, and yeah, it's actually it's the same. Yes, it isn't, you know. Whereas we go on our walk around Liverpool 8 and we go to Princess Park, and then we stop and
maybe we can look. Why don't you screen share a couple of images while we talk about this? Because do you think it's more difficult now to take photographs of people in the street? Do you think the street photographer's job is a bit harder? Do you think people are
definitely
willing for this?
Yes. Are we good?
So I'm at Bowler Street here with your local shop.
That's the corner shop, yeah. So that area, I mean, amazingly, the Welsh Street, some of them have been saved in inverted commas, and that area is still quite similar, should we say. So that's the corner shop on Bowler Street on Hyde Park, and the best chippy in the world around the corner there.
Ooh, I could just eat some chips now.
But this is the shot that we took last month in the same place, and these two people stopped carrying their bookcase to their new home, you know, and that's a snapshot in time, isn't it? You know, it's interesting that people are still willing to pause and speak to you. It's just strange that you can't show them on the back of the camera with a film camera the shot you've just taken.
You have to take their name and address and post them a copy, wouldn't you?
Yes, which I've sent one. So.
Oh, that's good.
And then, you know, I mean, we can show them. You talking about the city in protest type situation, where that down at the docks, which the meaning of it has got lost in time, but this is a ship, not a site, was some clear dispute that was going on between workers on the ship and on the docks. Maybe, I don't know, but we might get
oh, sorry, Ian, go on.
It's all right, we might get some responses, but the context might have been lost completely now.
Your photograph of the Hudson hulls, Hudson Cavalier and Hudson Progress.
Yeah.
We thought it would be associated with these disputes, didn't we? Because these were made and then left floating on the water for how long?
Well, they were made in Camel Edge, which is obviously across the water, and then I think they hung around for about 4 years after they were made.
So when was this taken?
78, I think, 79 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they were made and clearly they had the contract for it. And then, you know, that's how tough it was for a company like that then, that they just never got paid for them. So I think the Royal Navy eventually took over them, and they traveled the world under different names. So the Bayleaf, I think one of them was called. But the story behind it, you know, is quite interesting, part rather than just the flat image of these strange ships. I mean, I think one of the responses was how frightening it was to go to the docks, and I recall that actually photographing around there and leaning over the water and seeing these massive propellers under the water, and it gave you a very strange feeling. That's, you know,
they are monsters, aren't they? They're
yes.
absolutely huge, and the technical expertise in making these, you know, that's what Liverpool used to do, right? That's what the docks used to produce. These steel beasts.
Yes.
And we're still. I live in Dingle on near to the river now, and I can look across and see military ships being built on the Wirral side. It's still going on, but a fraction of like fraction of the amount that it used to be. Yeah. Everybody's got someone who worked on the docks. I was really struck. There's some really interesting little messages in your photographs that you probably took, not flippantly, but you just were taking photographs, weren't you, at the time? You just taking photographs. The sign that said "We have confidence in Merseyside" that one of the businesses had put up. Yeah, that was really powerful. Because, you know, that's a signal, isn't it? We knew then that things had already begun to go wrong. Yes. We knew before that. Yeah. The unemployment in the city was skyrocketing. And if we're not careful, you know, we're going to be in the same position. We probably are in a very similar position in terms of unemployment levels, and it's terrifying. It's a city of contrasts, isn't it? You know, when I was writing about the photographs for the exhibition specifically, we talked about me not explaining the photographs or telling people what to think necessarily, but just giving some kind of light contextual touch, some kind of little markers of history, some little hints about what was going on at the time, so people could kind of find a way into the photographs and bring their own experiences to this, bring their own memories and thoughts. And we have confidence in Merseyside. That was definitely something that stuck out to me. Yeah. Another one was talking to your sister Lynn about your nan. It sounded like a formidable character. She was.
Obviously we had the open fires there, and when it wasn't catching properly, she used to put the big pieces of newspaper in front of the fire to draw it as still don't know what it means. And then it was like suddenly the fire behind it would light and the newspapers would like illuminate and then catch fire and go whoosh up the chimney.
And she used to chuck a bit of paraffin on, didn't she?
Yeah, if that didn't work, she'd throw paraffin on and then we'd all be running out of the room.
Speak after reading Lynn's memories, I wrote this for the gallery because, you know, this kind of really takes me back to living in Clovelly Road as well in Anfield. You can still smell the cellar, the coal, her perfume as she knelt at the grate, and the smoke and bits of burning paper rushing up the chimney. So it's just such a good image. Yeah. And, you know, the outside toilet and stuff like that, like you're suddenly back on the ground floor of your terraced house with the yard and your place and things, the banisters, the mouldings on the ceiling, lovely houses, lovely architecture.
Yeah, I think I remember.
Avenue. It's so, 1842.
Something like that. Yeah.
Designed the park, Prince's Park, designed to mimic Regent's Park in London. Absolutely fantastic. All along the Grand Avenue, winding through terrace streets and back towards town. Mature trees, demolition site, racetracks, unexpected conversations. This is what teenage Ian was coming across. This lad with the stick, his spear.
Yeah.
He's a young warrior, isn't he?
With his kickers.
Yeah. I had a pair of kickers, did you?
Yeah, red ones.
Ooh, fancy. So we're at the very beginning of the project, really, aren't we? So we've got the exhibition. It's up. It's looking fantastic, and we're in Gallery 3. And downstairs, got the Red Project by Emma Case and the Scotty Road Archive. So it's all fantastic. It's such a fantastic archive of Liverpool photographs taken by Liverpool people. It's so joyous and celebratory. It's quite sad. Some of it, I'm sure, will, make you feel the feels. It'll take you back to a time maybe that you'd forgotten. The whole show is lovely, and it's a privilege to be part of. But for us, the exhibition now is going to be followed by these workshops. So we've just obviously gotten support from Open Eye Gallery to do this, but we've also just won some funding from the Awesome Foundation, which is brilliant, which is awesome. And we are planning on, I don't know, a bit of analog magic in a digital world, I suppose, Ian, aren't we?
Well, that's right. Yes. Yeah. Using cameras that are loaded with the same film that I used back then, which is that grainy HP5, and kind of just putting a nice focus on what to do. That you're going to take pictures around your area and you're going to write about it. Just as simple as that, really. And hopefully these are a good kernel to go from.
I think it's exciting the group is going to lead what we're going to be focusing on and what we want to discuss and what we want to take photographs of. But I'm quite excited to do some creative exercises together with the whole group, with you and me and everybody else that we haven't met yet. Doing 5-minute writing exercises, looking at your photographs to start with, and then digging out our old photographs, starting to think about what you want to capture right now.
I think what you said, that I didn't know what I was doing with photography really then, so it doesn't matter if you're a beginner in photography. I was, so we can get good images.
Well, it's been a while since I've used a single-use camera as well, so we're posting everybody disposable cameras filled with HP5 film and a notebook and pen. And this is the first time in a long time, probably since the 90s, that I've used a disposable camera. So I'm looking forward to learning from Ian the golden rules of taking an image.
Absolutely.
How to put things into some kind of composition, what I'm looking for. How do I use the light with a disposable camera? Do I have to take photographs of a morning? Like, will they come out if I use it at night?
Well, we managed.
Imagine all the writing that we're really lucky to have people already signed up for our workshops who've already gone through the writing on the wall training program. So I know that there's some experienced writers joining us.
Yeah.
But everybody else is a beginner. Yeah. I'm certainly back to the beginning with taking photographs. I can take a photograph on my smartphone, but that's not the same, is it, at all? So I'm really looking forward to learning from everybody else, how to take a good shot. And then I'm really excited when we get the prints back to see how we match the new writing with image and text together, what those things are doing, what they're provoking, what kind of tension they're creating. Are they going to be funny? Are they going to be sad? Are they going to be very moving?
They're going to be funny. I've just had a Twitter from a Yorkshire friend of mine saying we're still too scouse.
We're still too scouse.
Yeah.
No such thing as too scouse, Ian, actually. But yeah, like I'm really excited to see what the new images and texts combined do together, what stories they tell, and like all together, like the group, when we showcase, you know, all of this new work next year, and hopefully we have some kind of celebratory event as well. So that's to be decided within the group. But wouldn't it be wonderful if we could produce a book together, or a magazine, or another exhibition, or a party? You know, like a viewing party where we could have live readings and music and the photographs projected, and just create this atmosphere of brand new creativity that looks to what Liverpool is, that weird city, that weird radical city, what it is, past, present and future. What the hell is going to come out of these workshops? We just don't know.
Yeah.
It's really exciting for me. And I'd just like to thank you for showing me the photographs in the first place, because they could have stayed under the bed.
Well, yeah, it was a strange request from my point of view, because, you know, obviously I didn't really know much the reaction that would be, you know, and it was yourself who actually persuaded me to go along to Open Eye with you to actually present them, really. And so, you know, good support from that point of view. And yeah, it's got us to this stage, which is great. Yeah. It
just shows, doesn't it, like, because we haven't worked together before, as well as some new collaboration, which I'm loving. It's, I don't know, it just shows what you can achieve if you have an interest in something and something sparks an idea. And this year has been really hard for everybody, but having a creative project to focus on is just, like I said before, it's been a godsend to be able to spend some time researching the history of Liverpool through the late 70s, early 80s, spending time in the Open Eye archive, talking to you about your experiences and comparing them to mine, going on new walks together, and talking and recording those as audio walks, and meeting people who live there now, talking to people who used to live there who don't anymore, or have been moved on, or had family in Liverpool. We've had just so many positive experiences out of this already. It's just been an absolute pleasure to do, and it's been a godsend through lockdown to just have something positive to focus on, and something where we're not teaching, we're not just instructing and telling people what to do, because we both teach in our other lives quite a lot, don't we? It's nice to start a new group of people up together, a new peer group, and we don't know each other, and we don't know what the outcomes are going to be.
Well, it is, yeah. These new perspectives of, you know, people commenting on what the images are, and then questioning us, and yeah, it's a good challenge to react to it, really. You know, obviously it's already been out there in some of the press, and we've got some comments coming back already, and you know, it's just quite interesting, really. Yeah.
You're talking about that Liverpool Echo comment that said your house must be filthy if you've got photographs under the bed.
Yes. And then my keyboard mate responding to it, so I just left them to it.
Don't get pulled into the Liverpool Echo comment section rabbit hole. Should we go to questions now, if there are any?
I think so, yes.
If there aren't any, maybe we could just look at a couple of more photographs.
Yeah.
Yes, so I will give people a little moment to leave comments. If you want to leave comments, you can leave them either on the Twitch stream chat, which I know some of you are in, or on Twitter, and I'll present them to Ian and Laura. One question that I had for both of you was, how did you find the actual process of, Laura, you've seen the images and then you are writing text to go alongside those. I know, Ian, you were talking about how text can heighten those images, can give them more, can describe thoughts and feelings that the image might not capture. But how did that work when you're both, presumably you have different relations to the images? How did that work as a group collective project?
I think the type of arts criticism I'm increasingly interested in is very subjective and personal, and this was an opportunity for me to kind of just dig into my own memories and start listening to other people about their memories of Liverpool. It was an excuse to do that, you know, ask them, where were you? What were you doing at this age? Where were you when you look at this photograph? What does it remind you of? And I think, Ian, both of us decided that whatever writing I produced wasn't really going to work if I went large on kind of like writing about the entire history of everything you could see in the photographs. Rather, a light touch might be more fun, something more creative, some very short text that could float alongside the photographs in the gallery space. So people didn't have to like read a lot, because that's also another thing, isn't it? At the moment, we've all got kind of short attention spans and we don't want to really read loads in a gallery space. We haven't got it in us to read tons and tons. And also, I didn't want to interrupt your photographs too much. I wanted to write something complimentary that was kind of like optional to read, but didn't overtake.
No, because people are going to see different things in the images, you know, and that's already coming to the fore now. People saying, "Oh, parking meters aren't around anymore now, are they?" And you know.
Yeah, that's one of the stranger comments.
Yeah, and you know, strange stories on how the onions arrived in the Church Street, and you know, but it's, yeah, I think it's good to ask for comments and get these different viewpoints.
I think it's been quite interesting as well from a writing perspective, trying to write about the river, right, which is like, it's what Liverpool's known for, the Liverpool River Mersey, and like everyone's got the ferry and everyone goes down there. But talking to Lynn, Ian's sister, and talking about what was going on in Liverpool at the time for so many people, like just a simple act of going down to the river and breathing in salt air and feeling able to move again, like being refreshed or energized by the water, that really grabbed my imagination. And just like how lucky we are to have such an amazing river and estuary here that we can go and walk along, and it's so open into the Irish Sea, and it's a special city. I think it's made me appreciate things a bit more, because you know, take your own home city for granted, right? I do. So yeah, the writing part's been really fun and very low pressure.
Specific
questions there, Leo?
So Stig Star on Twitch has said, so glad the photos were dug out, though it makes me wonder what the photo tutors at the Poly were thinking.
Yeah, what did your tutor say, Ian? Did he just say they were too depressing or something? Did he question, like, did he say that they were too poverty stricken or something?
Yeah, well, you know, obviously I was this shy student, and I think he did think they were too depressing, where that actually wasn't my agenda. That was what I was saying, is it was changing, you know, and it did knock me back quite a bit, really. Obviously, I just put them back in my negative file and didn't look at them for some time. Sometime, yes.
A few decades, yeah. Just shows though, doesn't it, like in terms of getting critical feedback,
absolutely,
how careful you have to be with young people.
Yeah,
because that could have put you off for life, couldn't it? And actually these are testament now. These are like testament to a time period and a little time capsule of what was going on through a young person's eyes. So
well, I'm still a photographer, so
yeah. Didn't stop you, did it?
Yeah, thank you, Stig.
I wonder if it's Stig from Top Gear.
Yeah.
We have Richard J. Benbow on Twitter. He said, as an Evertonian, I used to walk to the match via Kirkdale Station and Cross County Road. I would be fascinated to see some photographs of the past of this area and see how it has changed.
Right.
Richard, do you want to join in on our workshops? That's what I'd say. He sounds like a perfect candidate. I bet he's got his own photographs. County Road. And I just heard as well.
There you go, Richard.
Oh, yeah, they're the Evertonian nuns. I heard the other day that County Road's gonna have a brand new, like a refurb in terms of like landscaping. So they're going to be working with writers and writing on the floor along County Road, in kind of a similar way to the way Prince's Avenue's been beautifully restored and designed along the boulevard. So
the boulevard.
Yeah. But yeah, me too, Richard. So hey, go to our website, tellitlikeitis.cargo.site, and have a look at the workshop information. They're free.
Take your own pictures.
Take your own pictures, join in.
And how far is the scope of that project going to go? Where are you focusing on your attendees? What visions do you have for it? Where do you think it will show? All of those questions.
Yeah, all of them. What is this? We're recruiting from the wider Liverpool City region. We've got people from all over the shop. We're going to be running around 5 months of workshops, taking us into next year, and the group will decide what they want to produce and what kind of a like celebratory event we want to do at the end of the project. So as I was saying before, like a book or a magazine or an exhibition or a party, we don't know yet. The group will decide, but we just hope that loads of new images and new text will come out of it and do something really interesting. So yeah, we don't know yet. And sure, anything can happen, but it'll take us into around March or April. 5 months, can't do the maths. Yeah, next year. So if anybody does want to join in, we've still got a few workshop places left, although they are filling up.
And where can people find the details of this workshop?
So on our website, tellitlikeitis.cargo.site.
Sorry, yes, say again, I interrupted.
Tellitlikeitis.cargo.site, that's SITE. That's our website. I'm sure you can tweet OpenEye if you can't find it, and I can send you the link through them on Twitter. We're also on Instagram, tellitlikeitis_photo. So you can get in touch with us through our website or Instagram.
Emma Case has kindly dropped the link into the Twitch chat. So
thank you.
On the stream, you can just go and click straight away. Thank you, Emma, for that. So I think that's it for our questions.
If you actually Google "tell it like it is" as one word, it'll come up.
That's Google. Thank you, Emma.
So yeah, so that's it for our questions today. Obviously, if you have been watching and you want to see this project, it will be available to view at some point. We just have to wait for the guidelines to tell us that it's okay to open the doors, but it's up and it's ready for everybody to see. We will be releasing a VR version of the exhibition as soon as we can, either tomorrow or at the beginning of next week. So keep checking back at the OpenEye website or sign up to the OpenEye newsletter, and you will be the first people to see it. I've seen it myself, and it's really special. So you should both feel very proud of yourselves.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you. I think the whole gallery looks insanely good. It looks really, really beautiful. I can't wait to come in. I'm dying to get in. I've been pressing my face up against the window when I've walked past.
Brilliant. Well, thank you both for coming. It's been a great event. If you didn't catch all of it and you would like to see the rest, we are going to be putting the event on our OpenEye YouTube page. So we will share the link on our Twitter as soon as that is ready. And thank you again. If there's any last links or pieces of information you want to share, now is the time. Stig has left another comment that says, thanks so much for the talk. Really enjoyed it, dying to get started on the workshop. So that's
Hey, be quick, Stig.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you, OpenEye team, Leon, Natalie, really appreciate it. Thank you.
okay. Thank you all for joining.
Bye, everyone.